Yes, this show is powered by delicious coffee. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Build in ISO. I'm your host, Danny Clayton, and joining me right now is a gentleman whose lyrics are as smooth as butter and whose tunes are as warm as a nice hug. I'm talking about international star, song crooner, Jeremy Zucker. G'day, my friend. How are you doing?
What an introduction. I like that.
Well, you are a gentleman who has achieved a huge amount in, I guess, a relatively small time because you are just taking over the internet, if I can say that. And your debut album is just an absolute winner. So how do you celebrate the launch of your debut album during a time like this?
Really, really good question. I mean, when I released my album Love Is Not Dying, we were about a month into, a full-on quarantine. So, man, at that point, my roommate and I think I went on like Instagram Live to sort of like ring in midnight and the album dropping with my fans and friends and stuff. But my roommate just poured me a glass of champagne and like that was it. And the next day was a normal day. But actually, it's funny. My management and record label threw like a surprise Zoom party for me. I thought it was just going to be my management, and we were going to be like, "Yay, it's out!" And like I was going to thank everyone, and it was going to be a moment like that. But I get on the Zoom call, and my parents are in there. I'm like, "Why are my parents in this Zoom call with like a couple label people and my management?" And then all of a sudden, people start flowing in, and there's like 180 people on my Zoom call, like home friends, college friends, family friends. It was just weird. I was so put on the spot and like it was so awkward. I couldn't say hi to like every person.
You can admit it. Did you or did you not have a little tear when you saw all these people?
Oh, 100%. I started crying, and that just made it even more embarrassing for me. But it was a nice moment, and I felt very, 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 very grateful. But then it's weird. Like a couple days later, I didn't get to tour my album. I didn't get to do a lot of in-person promo and get to do the normal stuff that would normally surround a release. So it feels like just as quick as it came, it went. And now I'm sort of like, all right, what now?
Yeah. So we should paint a picture for everyone watching. Where are you currently?
I am in Brooklyn. I live here with two of my friends. I grew up in New Jersey, went to school in Colorado, but now I'm here just sort of riding out the quarantine.
Yeah. And what is it like there at the moment? Everything that we see down here in Australia, it makes it seem like pretty crazy, like pretty wild on the streets there.
Yeah, we weren't the best prepared for this out of all the countries that are experiencing it right now. Everyone's outside wearing masks. But it's weird as soon as the protests, I mean, it's not weird, but as soon as the protests started, people, it seems everyone sort of just stopped caring. That's a whole nother thing. But yeah, people are out in masks, and it's the only thing that's sort of scary is going to the grocery store. But it's hard. We're getting deep into the summer, and it's hard to stay completely isolated, and it's unrealistic to stay completely isolated, both physically and I think emotionally for people.
Of course. I mean, it feels like only a few weeks ago that I was in New York and I was doing, sorry, it's my dog. Rain, I'm in the middle of an interview. It feels like it was only a few weeks ago I was doing interviews in New York, and it was such a beautiful city. I love that city. But now it seems like a completely different city. And you've been spending a lot of time at home. Have you been exercising indoors? Have you been cooking a lot? What have you been doing to keep yourself sane?
I go through sort of periods where I obsess over one thing and then move on to the next thing because I feel like I need something to really take up a majority of my time that isn't work. Just because there is all of this extra time now. One week I'll run every morning. The next week I'll be cooking great meals every night. The other week I'll just not know what to do with myself and be kind of depressed. It's really just all over the place. And I've been like very, very strictly quarantining until a couple days ago.
Sure.
Yeah, my roommate and I just decided it was worth it to like to keep our risk low and start seeing a couple friends. And that has just completely changed my mood and made this so much easier, is, not being in it alone.
Completely. And what are you missing the most, do you think?
Right now I'm missing being able to tour the most.
Mm,
um, I totally took it for granted, because being on the road can be really stressful. um, it's just a really intense experience because it is all of the stress, and I'm not, I'm not like a natural born performer. So I definitely have a lot of anxiety before going on stage.
mm,
Um, but it's also so worth it because the experience that I get to have with fans on stage, and just the feeling of hundreds and thousands of people like singing my lyrics back to me is insane.
mm.
And I just can't believe how much I took it for granted in the past, because obviously I've had to postpone both tours that were planned for around this time.
Sure.
Um, so
Well,
yeah,
I mean, let me jump in because I think that one of the things that makes your music so incredible is I feel like they carry the same emotional impact, like maybe like a Matt Healy from the English band 1975. I think there's that sense of almost theatre in emotion, and it's something that I find really, really quite encapsulating. So during the recording process, did you have to feel those emotions while you were singing those songs? Because it certainly feels like it when we listen to that album.
100%. Um, I When I first start a song, I feel like I have to record as soon as I'm done with the lyrics. I have to record my vocals as soon as possible, because the emotion is so present in my mind and I'm really, really feeling it as I'm writing it.
Mm,
And I get scared, like the longer that I wait and the longer I sit on the song and rehearse it, the magic starts to fade, as it does whenever you listen to a song too much.
mm.
So I really try to like record it as soon as I can and put that emotion down before I can't replicate it, you know?
Cool. Something else that I think that people who listen to the record closely, they'll be rewarded with. I guess I could only describe them as textures. So what I mean by that is, if you listen to "Oh Mexico," you'll hear it starts with a texture like a water, whereas "Hell or Flying," there's someone adjusting an instrument, possibly. I'm not sure. Then "Awkward" is like a dramatic movie line. So the whole album is just peppered with these sound bites. Can you tell me some of the significance behind these sound bites?
Of course, yeah. You have a good ear for noticing all that. A lot of it is really subtle.
I'm a
Um,
professional.
so, I mean, what's the significance of it? A lot. How I craft music is, I feel like I'm taking all of these different aspects, whether it's the lyrics, whether it's the tone of my voice, the melody, the instrumentation, or these textures in the production. I'm really trying to align it all into like one specific aesthetic, um, and have them, all of these different sounds and all of these different melodies and rhythms and everything sort of portray the same emotion. And when I'm making a song, I'm very much like putting down everything in that emotion that I know how to create. And it becomes this sort of, I'm just like throwing paint at the wall. It's like if the emotion of the song is like a beautiful sunset, I'm throwing like
Mm,
a deep navy blue, a purple, like a red and orange at the wall. I'm not throwing like a green at the wall, you know? And so I
mm,
get to look at all of these colors and pick them apart, and the textures and the ambient noises and the sound bites are all sort of part of what I feel like fits in that emotion. Um, on a more physical level, it's in Hell or Flying, that's just like the ambient sound of the room that I recorded this piano in.
mm.
And the piano drives the whole song, so it just makes a lot of sense like that. Hell or Flying, um, or no, Orchid, where it starts with me saying, I can't do this anymore. That was just, it's just like thinking about this whole situation that spurred the writing of the song.
It almost sounded
And
like it was pulled from a movie scene. I
yeah,
actually,
I try.
you
Yeah,
saying that to someone on a cliff top with the wind blowing your hair back, it
yeah,
was really dramatic.
yeah. That
Um,
was the goal, but that was
yeah,
literally just like me reading through something I was writing on my phone and feeling in the moment and just talking, and I made it sound like that. Yeah.
mm. And it's funny to think that, this is, you're a musician because you decided to step away from school. And look, if we take a look at what is happening in the world right now, and the fact that you decided to focus on music instead of going to med school, how does that make you feel when you see all of this madness in the world? Why aren't you developing a vaccine, Jeremy? That's what I'm asking.
This might be the first time that I feel guilty for not pursuing science. I was just with one of my college friends yesterday, so I was thinking about this. Um, I'd always wanted to pursue medicine and science. Honestly, not because I wanted to help people as much as medicine was something that I just knew I could do if I tried hard enough.
Mm,
Uh, and I really wanted to be successful. And I knew that if I worked a certain amount, I would get there and I'd have a great career. Um, I never really stopped to think if it was my passion, if it was what I wanted to do,
mm,
if I wanted to help people in that way, if I wanted to like be a doctor and have patients. And I think I sort of got saved from wondering if that was for me by by falling into a music career. I don't mean like I made a song once and got a music career. I've always been making music on the side, and in college, I felt like I started to have emotions that I could express through music, and those
mm.
emotions were the same emotions a lot of other people were having, and I think that's why it started to slowly connect with people. And yeah, I got saved, and by the time I graduated, I had a fan base and can go on tour,
Yeah.
which is awesome.
Well, I mean, they haven't got a vaccine yet, so just saying, you could have a little bit of time to get back to school. Just throwing it out there.
Yeah.
I'd love to get, I'd like to go see concerts again. Think of your other musicians. Stop being so greedy, Jeremy. Um, so I hear that you're also quite interested in, space and stars. Have you ever considered to sign up to the Stars Academy of Arts and Science? Do you know
The
what that
stars,
is?
I don't know what that is.
It's a UFO research collective formed by Tom DeLonge. You might,
Oh my God. Right. Okay. I do know what that is.
okay.
Um, no, I mean, it's funny because that whole thing with Tom, he like it sort of came off as like a conspiracy theorist type thing.
Mm,
Um, but yeah, I mean, I am really into space, just the universe and like science and physics. And from a more like theoretical perspective, I kind of hated physics as a class, but science always just came so easily to me. And I really love understanding like how the world works. And I think there are just so many mysteries out there. Like
mm.
Interstellar was one of my favorite movies for that reason.
Oh, how good was
Like
it?
the intersection between like science and fiction. I mean, I guess that's why they call it sci-fi, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, just purely on a visual kind of perspective, that film was such a huge achievement.
Stunning.
And I hear that you were very, very hands-on when it comes to the look and feel and, the scenic kind of perspective of your music, because film really interested you, didn't it?
Yeah, I actually almost majored in film in college. The first class I took was a filmmaking class, and um, I made like a 12-minute short film with my friend, and it was like the most amazing experience of my life. My goal was to be a film major and then do the pre-med track and like have all my credits work out perfectly so I could major in film and then go to med school. How that was going to help me in life, I have no idea, but I just wanted to do it. But I literally didn't have enough credits to be able to do both of them.
Mm.
So I switched my major to molecular biology because that overlapped with pre-med. Um, and yeah, that was it. Crazy.
Uh, can you tell us if we can find any of your early films online? Is there a place that we can view your movies, your cinema?
Yeah. Yeah. So there's only one that I put online. It's called The Societal Impact of Whole Grain Cereal. I won't give you too much background, except I am behind the camera for most of it. I have a cameo, and you'll get a glimpse of what I looked like freshman year of college. Um, I looked way more preppy. It's kind of embarrassing, but I'm really proud of the film. And we won best screenplay of the year at my school, which isn't a huge achievement. There's only like 2,000 people in the school, and way less in the film program. But yeah,
more importantly, what about one of the films that would never go online? Can you tell us about a movie of yours that we will just not see?
Um, well, honestly, that was like the first and last movie that made like on a professional level. I grew up making movies with my friends and making just like little short, honestly, not artistic at all. We would just like throw basketballs and like do a clever cut and make it look like we made a crazy shot or something. But thank God I haven't made anything that's terribly embarrassing. And
Mm.
if I did, I probably would be saying the same thing right now. So no one's gonna see it.
I wish I could say the same thing. The internet is littered with all of my failures.
Oh,
But
really?
oh yeah, don't dive deep in that rabbit hole, my friend. But look, I did want to take a different route now because I am running out of time with you, and I know that you're quite passionate about many social causes, and
Mhm.
particularly because you're in like the eye of the storm, if you will. It seems as though you're quite been affected by all of these marches of late. Um,
Mhm.
are you finding it difficult to contribute to those voices? Is it difficult to kind of figure out what to do? I mean, where are you at the moment with all of these protests?
So when the protests started, I mean, when George Floyd was murdered, social media obviously exploded, and I sort of found myself in a place where I realized I wasn't speaking up about a lot of the issues that I cared about, and obviously all the protests started happening. And at that time, I was quarantined really heavily, just through my roommate, so I like couldn't really go out and protest at all.
Of
So I
course.
really made an effort to show up in different ways, and I really tried to elevate the voices of just Black people online that had very important things to say, in the Black Lives Matter movement. And I was really trying to educate a lot of my followers that are maybe more ignorant, um, in the scope of things. Um, but yeah, I mean, I am really trying to like it's a constant work, I think, to identify your own privilege. I'm trying to sort of like pick it apart every single day and pull the right resources and find the right things that are going to educate people to sort of realize that Black lives matter and that groups that are marginalized matter and that representation matters in
Mm,
media and that all people deserve to feel safe and wanted and included,
mm,
and that this is a country that is built on oppression and discrimination, and we all exist in America in a system where people benefit from the oppression of others. And the most dangerous thing in the wake of this movement, I think, is that the people that are benefiting either don't want to admit they're benefiting or don't realize they're benefiting. And that's the root of the problem. And that's why education, I feel, is such an important part of it. So I've been really trying to use my social media in a way that I never have before. And I'm seeing a lot of my friends and followers doing the same. And all of it is really directed towards, my white followers and my straight cis male followers. The most privileged of the privileged are the people that need to step in and make a change, because
mm.
it's not the job of the oppressed to get out of the oppression. It's the job of the people that are doing the oppressing to reverse it.
Definitely.
That was
I
a
mean,
little long-winded, but
no. By all means, I think that it's a very difficult topic, and you're approaching it with nuance and compassion, which is definitely something that we all need to do right now. Particularly the way that you've handled it on your social media accounts. So I tip my hat towards you, my friend. But before I do let you go, I'd like to ask one last question,
Mhm.
something a little bit more upbeat, and that is, what's the first bit of advice you'd give to someone who has never skied before?
Who has never skied before?
Yeah.
These questions are wild. So I who's never skied before. Okay. I would say,
I mean, because I've been, were you not a ski
yeah, yeah,
instructor?
yeah. I was a ski
Okay,
instructor.
just clarifying. You did instruct people how to
Yeah, yeah,
ski.
yeah. No,
So
you're
no
good. Don't
shit.
worry. Yeah, so I was a ski instructor for kids aged 4 to 6, and then I was a general snowboard instructor. I can't really ski myself, but I was teaching kids how to ski. All I really did was like pull them up the hill, and then I'd be like, all right, make a pizza. We say, like, in America, make a pizza, and that's how you stop. And then we say French fries to go, because that's how you go. So those are the things you need to know when you're learning how to ski: is to stop. You don't cross your skis. You just make a point, and then to go, you go straight. There it
French
is.
fries and pizzas.
There you go.
The key to being a good skier. May I just say thank you so much, Jeremy Zucker, for joining us here on Build in ISO. And I would like to congratulate you on Love Is Not Dying, your debut album, for its huge success. It has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Danny. This was cool.